right, so for in this class and in first period, we're on number 16. All right, my other classes should be number 17. All right. Annabella, can you hit the lights? And happy birthday, by the way. All right. So we just talked about how a variable is basically holding the place for a number, and we're going to mainly use letters. Does it have to be a letter? No, not necessarily, but that's what we're going to stick with, all right? And then a coefficient is just if we have a number in front, all right? Now, guys, in math, I think we'll agree there are 4 key operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, correct? All right, and with those operations, there are key words that can help us determine. All right, so obviously for addition, if I see the word plus, we know that means to add. All right, if I have more of something, I also know that that is adding. All right, now you'll notice, guys, for this addition, y here is my variable. Do I know what y stands for? No, I just know it's holding the place for something. Don't know what that is. That's okay. All right, y is holding the place for something, and we're adding 2 to it. All of these phrases down here mean y plus 2. Every single one of these phrases means y plus 2. Does anyone see a certain phrase that maybe stands out or looks different? Kate?
2 more than y.
2 more than y. The difference here is that this one is y in the front anymore? No. For all of the other ones, it was y and then 2, because we want to do y plus 2. In this case, they're kind of backwards because it says 2 more than y. So I have 2 of something, but not just 2 of something, because first we had to have more than y. Before I know what this 2 is, I got to know what y is. All right? So if we're saying 2 more than y, do y'all see how that's actually taking y and then we're adding 2 to it? All right, guys? A little, like a shortcut, an easy way to remember that. If you see than, it's actually flipped around. All right? So like when it said 2 more than y, because of that than, I knew y went in the front, 2 goes in the back. All right? Increased by, we know that means addition. Sum, please don't forget those key words: sum, difference, product, quotient. Sum means we're adding, and total means we're adding. All right? So guys, on subtraction, you'll see the same thing kind of happen. We're looking at y minus 2. All of these are in the same order except for 2 less than y. It had than, so that flipped around. All right, guys, also take away. If it says take away 2 from y, don't we have to have the y in order to be able to take the 2 away from it? So the y has to come first there as well. Okay, again, that trick, though, for than will work. Just flip it around. Oh, look, that got cut off. The difference of y and 2. That's what that should say right there. Okay. All right, those are just some keywords that might help us today. All right. Multiplication. And, guys, this is where we see that word coefficient come into play. All right, this is where we see that word coefficient come into play. All right, because remember, how can I write multiplication? We can use the dot, we can use the x, or we can just put them right next to each other, right? All right, guys, well, especially now that we're moving into algebra and we're moving into having these variables or these letters, all right, we're going to want to eliminate that multiplication symbol as much as possible. All right, so we mentioned it earlier. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. The reason this goes with multiplication is because for multiplication we put them right next to each other. Guys, this is really important. Where does your number have to go? In front. Your number has to go in front. So 2 times y would obviously be 2y. Or if I have y times 2, guess what? That's still going to be 2y because my number has to be in front. That's only true for multiplication, guys. That only works on multiplication. The product of 2 and y, or that said the product of y and 2, what would go first? Still the number. Okay, y doubled, that's just 2 times y. Twice y obviously is 2 times y. y groups of 2, remember if something repeats, what operation is it? Multiplication. So if I have my y groups repeating twice, or my 2 groups repeating y times, that's multiplication. All right. Half of y, guys, of. When I see the word of, that means multiplication, okay? So of means to multiply. So if I have half of y, we just take 1/2 and put it in front. Okay. Another way to find half of something. All right, what's another way to find half of something? Let's say I wanted to know half of 8. What's half of 8? 4. What's half of 50? 25. What's half of 10? 5. What are you doing every time when you're trying to find half of something? Faith? You're dividing it by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, because that's half. 50 divided by 2 is 25, because that's half. If I'm wanting to know half of something, no, you can only divide by 2. Okay, if I want to know half of something, you can only divide by 2. So another way of saying half of y would be by doing y divided by 2. So that's another option. Okay. Please remember for division, this is fine, but we want to get away from this. You're going to get to the point in math where you don't really see that division symbol anymore. You always see it as a fraction, especially as you progress in algebra. We like the shorthand. It looks cleaner. All right, so for division, it's important that I want us to move towards trying this. Because here's the thing, guys. If you keep doing this forever and ever on your homeworks and you never try the new way, when it gets to the point where you have to do it this way, will you know how? No, because you won't have practiced, okay? So let's make sure we're practicing that. It is important, guys, when it says 2 divided by y, the number that's being divided goes on the top. The number that you're dividing by goes on the bottom. So in this case, 2 is being divided, so it's on top. We are dividing by y, so it goes on the bottom. If I say y divided into 2, what number is actually being divided? 2. And what's going into it? Y. So 2 goes on top, y goes on the bottom. And then here, the quotient of 2 and y, we keep it in that order, 2 on top, y on the bottom. All right, are y'all ready to look at some actual examples? All right, let's do some algebra. Okay? So here's the cool thing about today, guys. We're actually not really, quote unquote, doing algebra. What we're doing today for our learning target says I can translate a verbal expression into algebraic expression. I can translate. That sounds kind of like a foreign language, doesn't it? Like you can go to Google Translate and it'll take English and change it into Spanish or Chinese or German or whatever else you want to change it into. That's what we're doing right now. We're taking our English, we're taking our verbal expression, our English words, and we're changing it into algebra. We're changing it into math. Guys, when people say math is like a foreign language, it literally is. Because that's what we're about to do. We're about to take these words and make them math. Okay? All right. You'll notice again here we have something labeled as a variable. Remember, a variable is holding the place for something that we do not know. We do not know, okay? All right, so let's read this sentence. It says, 4 times more money than Elliot. So if I'm going to start by looking at the math here, I know what 4 is, right? So it's 4. And we know times means that we're multiplying. More money than Elliot. Do I know how much that is? No? So what could I use?
4 times.
Blake? Where did you get that from? Because we can use a letter. That's it. Okay? So if we don't know what this is, we can use a variable, guys. Do we know how much money Elliot has? No. Can we just make up a number? We can't make up a number, guys, because here's the thing, guys. If I say Elliot has $7, can my 7 change later? No. Once I say it's 7, it's 7. All right? But if I say just M because he has some money, if I say M for money, now that money amount can change. I can go find whoever Elliot is and be like, hey, Elliot, how much money is that? And then that M is just holding the place for that. Okay? So, now this is important. And for the last class wanted to use a Q too. That's kind of an odd letter, I feel. All right? So guys, we don't want to just use any random letter. Okay? If you're going to use a random letter, let's stick with X and Y. All right? But in this case, we're going to kind of want to use a letter that might apply because usually you'll see letters that are similar. All right, N is another one that's used a lot because N stands for the number of whatever it is. So here what we might want to do is, like, we're talking about money, so let's use M. All right, and M is the amount of Elliot's money. Now, guys, this is important. Did I just write down M stands for more money than Elliot? No. I circled that because did I know how much that was? All right, but my variable has to actually make sense, so we can't just put random words. So M is the amount of Elliot's money. Any ideas on how I'm going to write that expression? If I'm wanting to do 4 times that M, the amount of Elliot's money, how would I write that algebraically? Ideas? Look at that other side that we just did. Okay?
4 times M.
Close. Kernan? 4M. All right? So you were very close. The only thing is, remember, do we have to use the multiplication symbol? No, if we put them right next to each other, we know that's multiplication. All right, what was my variable here? M. What was my coefficient? 4. It's the number in front. Okay? All right. Number 2. Half as many pages as George. All right. What do we not? What are we missing? What do I not know? Okay. All right, that's what I'm looking for. I'm just like, what in here? It says half as many pages as George. All right, we know half, but half of what? Half. What pages? Okay, like a book that, where'd the book come from? You're on the right track. What information am I missing if I want to find half of something? Where, who got it? George. So guys, when I'm saying half of what? These pages that George has done something with, whether he's read them, whether he's typed them, whether we don't know. All right? So, what variable do y'all use?
G.
We can use G. Make sure your variables, guys, this is important. I want our variables to stay lowercase. All right? You will use uppercase variables later on in math, not this year. All right? But we want to stick with lowercase variables. Cameron?
P.
We could use P for pages. All right, guys, you can use N. What would N stand for? Number. Number of George's pages. All right, guys, it's important. If I say P equals pages, I don't want to just say P equals pages, because where did this page come from? George. So if you said P, I want P equals George's pages. If you said G, I want G equals George's pages. N, number of George's pages. Please remember, all of your variables need to be lowercase letters. All right, so now let's figure out, what am I going to do for this? Half as many pages as George. So how do I find half of something? Faith? We can divide it by 2. So I can take my number of George's pages and I can divide it by 2. What's another option? Okay. We never use the slash bar. We want to use that straight line where it's one number on top of the other. Right? 2 divided by n would be 2 split up however much n is. So we don't want to do that. What's another way I could find half of something? It's on the front side of that notes paper that's in your hand. What's another way to find half of something? Taylor? Okay, so 1 over 2 means half. So that would be half of, which means multiplication, n. So you can do n divided by 2, or we can do 1/2 n. Okay. All right, number 3. Guys, I need us to mark off this first part. Sorry, this was an equation, not an expression, and we'll talk more about the difference next week. Okay. All right, so 4 inches less than the length is all we want on there. Okay. 4 inches less than the length. What information am I missing? What information makes this impossible to find out? What was that, Kate? The length. Do I know how much that is? No. Now here's the thing, guys. I want you to be careful. Remember, we want to pick a variable that we write in lowercase. What would be a good variable for that? L. Now, guys, do you want to just write an L up and down? No, because then it looks like a 1. If we do a print lowercase l, it looks like a 1. Remember, this goes back to when we were writing formulas. L needs to be cursive, and that cursive L is standing for length. Can you use an uppercase L? No, please do not use any uppercase letters. All right. 4 inches less than the length. So we have 4 inches. Y'all see where I got 4? What does less than mean? Subtraction. And we're subtracting my length. All right, now remember, it has the word than. What's special about the word than? What is special about the word than? Lyric. It flips it around, because if we're saying 4 less than the length, I've got to know what the length is before I can take 4 away from it. Okay, so it's L minus 4. If you see than, you've got to flip it around. Okay. All right, number 4. The cost of a CD and a $12 DVD. All right, what information am I missing? Okay. We do not know how much the CD cost. All right, so what letter could we use? C. All right, and C is going to stand for the cost of a CD. Okay, so C stands for the cost of a CD. Now, guys, if I know the cost of the CD, which I now know is C, and my $12 DVD, so that's 12, what would I be doing with those two things? If I'm trying to buy them, what would I need to do with those two prices? If I want to buy both of them, what would I have to do, Michaela? Add them. Okay. Do I need to flip that around at all? No. We're just going to write C plus 12. You only have to flip it when you see less than, more than, fewer than. All right. Number 5 has a star to it. We're going to skip over that one for right now. We'll come back to it. All right. We're skipping over that because there's something special going on there. All right. Number 6. It says 6 feet. So 6 feet less than. What does less than mean? Subtraction, the width. What can I write down for the width? I can't write down a number. What can I use? Emily? A letter, which is also known as a variable. What variable would you like to use, Emily? W. So we can say W equals the width. All right, how am I going to write that? Okay. W minus 6. You notice she did not leave it as 6 minus W because it said the word than, so we flipped them around. Did y'all see that? Yes? Oh, I did. I left out the C completely, the second C. Thank you. We'll fix that. All right. Let's look at number 7. 4 times as many apples. So we know how to write 4, right? 4 times, what am I going to use for as many apples? What do I need there? Wait. We can use A. We need a variable. Okay, so we can use A. A is the number of apples. number of apples. Okay? So how am I going to write 4 times A without writing 4 times A? How would I need to write that? The shorter version. Okay? 4A. Remember, for multiplication, guys, you can just write them next to each other. Okay? All right. Number 8, 10 more shoes than Reuben. 10 more shoes than Reuben. What information are we missing? Emily? Yeah, so we have 10. So there's 10. We have more than, which is going to be adding. But do I know what we're adding it to? No. What do I need to know? Not just Reuben. What do I need to know about Reuben? How many shoes he has. So guys, what I'm going to use is, I'm actually going to use N. I'm going to use N. We could have used S. We could have used R. All right, I'm going to use N for the number of Reuben's shoes. Number of Reuben's shoes. So my question for you, is that going to say 10 plus N? Dana? Why not? What's it going to change to? Why? Why are we going to change it, Ava? Why are we going to change it, Emily? It says more than 10. More than Reuben. So I've got to have Reuben's shoes to add the 10 to. Can I have more than 10 of something if I don't know what that something is? All right. Number 9. 6 hours more per week than Theodore. So again, there's my 6 hours. More than means addition. So what is it we're missing? What am I missing? Faith? How many hours Theodore gets per week. So we want to make sure we include that. So what you might want to do is use W, so we remember it's talking about per week. We could also use H for hours. We could use T for Theodore. We could use N because we're talking about the number of hours. So I'm going to use W. It doesn't really matter though. W because that's hours. I'm sorry. I meant to put Theodore's. Theodore's hours per week. Theodore's hours per week. So 6 plus W. Is it going to stay like that? Blake?
W plus 6.
W plus 6. Why? Nope. The letter does not have to be first. Katie? It said more than. Because it said more than. Since it said than, we had to flip it. Very good. Okay? Guys, your letter does not have to go first. Look, 4A. In fact, if it's multiplication, does the letter go first? No, that number has to be first. All right, number 10. 1/3 of the points that the Eagles scored. 1/3 of the points that the Eagles scored. All right, for this one, it might be easier to start with just what do I need to know? What do I need to know, Faith? How many points the Eagles scored? I don't know what this is. So we can use P for points the Eagles scored. Okay. How do I find 1/3 of something? What operation would that be? If you were doing dividing, how would you divide to find 1/3? What would you be dividing by? Division's not our best option here. 1/3 of P. 1/3 of P, because that's talking about my points. Of, what operation is of? Multiplication. This is saying 1/3 times P. So how would I write that? How would I write that, Faith? 1/3 P. Guys, you'll notice when I wrote my P, did I put it on top with the 1? No, did I put it on bottom with the 3? No, I put it in the middle like a whole number, okay? Alright, twice as many ringtones as Mary. What does twice mean? 2 times, what am I missing? Mary's ringtones. Alright, again, you can use R for ringtones, M for Mary. Just make sure it is lowercase. Or we could use N because we're talking about the number of ringtones. So I'm going to use N for number of Mary's ringtones. Alright, 2 times N. How am I going to write that? Caleb, how would I write 2 times N? Adriana, can you help me out? How do I write 2 times N? Maya, can you help me out? How do I write 2 times N? 2N, very good. Alright, so guys, we say this is a new way, but we've been doing this in our math workshop for the last full 9 weeks, I would say. So the second 9 weeks we've been talking about starting to replace that. Well, here it is. If you haven't been starting, now you've got to. We've got to replace that. We've got to change it out. Alright, number 12, $5 less on dinner than James spent. So here we go. It says $5, so that's 5. Less than means minus. What am I missing? Lyric, what am I missing? What do I need to know? I need to know how much James spent. So I could put in, because again, we're talking about money. So we can put money James spent. Okay, so 5 minus M. Now, is it going to stay in that order? Is it going to stay in that order? What's it going to be, Emily?
M minus 5.
M minus 5, because it says than. Guys, the only reason we're flipping these around is because it's saying less than, more than. When it's saying less than something, more than something, we got to know what that something is so we can add and subtract to it. All right, number 13, 6 years less than Tracy's age. 6 years less than Tracy's age. So again, 6 years is the number 6. Less than means minus. Tracy's age. Do I know what that is? Nope. So we need a. We need a variable. All right, and what variable would y'all like to use? We can use N for the number of Tracy's age, or we could just use A for Tracy's age. We could use, guys, I would avoid using T's because a lowercase t looks a lot like a plus sign. Okay. So, how am I going to write that out? Michaela?
6.
A minus 6. Now, why did you reverse that? Because it says then. If it did not say then, would I have to reverse anything? No. All right, so the next ones that are left, all the ones that are left are the ones that have stars next to them. All right, guys, these do not have stars next to them because they're homework. Your homework is on a separate paper. These have stars next to them because these have more than one operation. On every one that we've done so far, it's just one operation. So multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, subtraction, multiplication. They only have one thing happening, right? On the next ones, they don't. All right? Now, number five is tricky. Number 5, I like it because it's tricky, but I also don't like it because it's tricky. All right, here's the thing, guys. When I'm using a variable can only hold the place of one thing. A variable can only represent one thing, okay? So when I look at this, it says the total cost of 3 drinks and a $3.50 box of popcorn. So if I wanted to know the total cost, what cost am I missing? Huh? What was that, Katie? I don't know how much the 3 drinks cost, right? I can't find out how much to pay because I don't know how much these 3 drinks cost. Now the dilemma is that my variable can only represent one thing. Can it represent all 3 of my drinks? No. My variable, in fact, we'll do my variable as D. Right? My variable can only represent the cost of 1 drink. My variable can only represent the cost of 1 drink. Now, how would that help me? If I know there are 3 of them, what could I do to find the cost? If I know the price of 1 drink is D, and I know there are 3 of them, what can I do with those? Cool? Alright, so here's the thing, guys. This is the price of 1 drink. Why would I split the price of 1 drink up? Am I wanting to split it up? Dividing splits it up. Do I want to split up the cost of that 1 drink? I don't want to split up the cost. What do I want to do, Blake?
Multiply times 3.
I want to multiply it because I want it to repeat for all 3. So that's going to be multiply. So we're going to do 3D because that's 3 times the cost of 1 drink because there are 3 of them. All right, now what else do I need to do to find the total cost? That's all 3 of my drinks. Now what do I still have to add into that? Michaela? Plus my popcorn. And how much is my popcorn? $3.50. So you can put plus 3.50 or just plus 3.5. All right, number 14. We want to bowl 3 games and pay for a $2 shoe rental. Again, my variable can only represent one thing. All right? What am I missing? What do I need to know? What was that, Kate? How much the bowling game costs. Now, again, can my variable represent all 3? No, my variable is just going to be 1. So I'm going to put C, which equals the cost of 1 bowling game. Now, that 1 bowling game, what do I need to do to it since I played 3 times? What do I need to do since I played, guys, 3 times? What operation does times mean? Multiply. Okay? So how would I write that if I'm needing to multiply? Okay? Three C, because it's 3 times the cost of 1 bowling game. Are we wanting to multiply it times 2? How many times, guys, if you go to the bowling alley, and this might be something that we're not super familiar with, when I go to the bowling alley, I have to pay for each game. But, guys, when I rent shoes, do I rent shoes for each game? Do I turn them in, go rent some more, turn them in, go rent some more? No, I just rent them once, right? So now we're going to add to that the $2 because I only paid that $2 one time. Okay, so it's just plus $2. Okay. Now, guys, these have stars because they are the challenging ones, all right? Most of the ones on your homework are like the first part. All right. Number 15 says the House of Representatives has 35 more members than 4 times the Senate. So let's start right here. It says 35 more. Oopsie. 35 more. What does that mean when we say more than? What operation is more than? Plus 4 times. So 4 times the Senate. Do I know how much the Senate has? So that's the information we're missing. So I'm going to use S for members of the Senate. All right. Does anyone think they can tell me how to write out that expression? This one's challenging. We got a lot going on. There's than, so we're going to have to flip it. So where's that 35 going? At the end. So we know we're going to have plus 35 at the end. What has to go in front? Close, Katie. Not just S. Remember, it's 35 more than, so 35 plus 4 times S. How am I going to write 4 times S? 4S. So it's 4S plus 35. Right? Guys, we have a quiz where we're going to be doing this on Friday. So it is so incredibly important that you practice tonight. All right? It's so incredibly important that we practice tonight and try this on our own. All right, I'm fixing to pass out our homework.